Guardian, we've picked up a high-gain transmission. Origin point is somewhere along the coast, near the Comsodrome.
Hey, because I work graveyard shift.
Ooh.
Okay.
Hey, Tower.
Okay, don't mind us. Craig is an asshole. So 9 times out of 10,
It's not that he's an asshole; it's that he's loud and it freaks her out.
Indeed, the first
is
episode
very comical.
that I did, I literally screamed when I heard
It was like, what the fuck? Because Dad records the show in audio, that way I don't have to convert the video later. It's very handy. But what I'm actually purposely doing is I'm making a TikTok variant of the show. So like I'm trying to get that all flipped in reverse, because I cropped the border that Joe gave me, but I'm gonna email him tonight about making like actual TikTok size versions of the waiting screen and the other screen.
Ooh,
Nice.
that sounds really cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna see if I can get the waiting screen to look decent real quick, because like
Yeah, you can do it.
I mean I can do it. It's just like I gotta like figure it out. I only got like a little short on time here. Here are the images. There we go. Clear the camera roll. This might look a little funky, but we're gonna try to make it work.
Also, don't mind me if I sound out of breath. I just did my sheets and blankets in the laundry, so I got to remake my bed.
Look, I get it. Me and my girlfriend, well, my girlfriend's still recovering. I got over being sick last weekend. And when I tell you the amount of sweating that I did under the covers, it's not even funny. And like the major blanket that I use, I've had to shove it off the bed because it smells like a freaking high school gym locker. Yeah.
So here's my thing. I'm not sick, but I do sweat like a racehorse at night because I'm weak to heat. I've had some issues where I literally was hospitalized, almost died from heat stroke. So yeah, and I don't have air conditioning in like my bedroom and stuff. So because I live in one of those really older apartments where you only have a wall-mounted air conditioner in the living room. Yeah. This building that I live in was built in like 1965. They haven't even like technically it's so out of code that they literally need to like tear everything down and replace pipes. I don't even have insulation in my wall.
That doesn't sound legal.
No, like a few years ago, my shower pipe burst, and they went to go replace the drywall in my living room where the water leaked through. They pulled down the old drywall, and I just saw blank cinder block.
Oh.
Yep, with
That's
a 6-inch. Yeah, with a 6-inch void in the wall between my living room and the bathroom wall.
Yikes.
So yeah, like I have to deal with a fuck ton of shit in my apartment, but at the very least, you know, it's a freaking roof over mine and my kid's head.
It suffices.
It suffices. Exactly. It's not preferred, but we're not out on the streets, and that's the important thing.
Oh, that's always the important thing, right there.
Oh. Ah, shit.
Okay. Okay. Put that back there. Drag this back down here. Okay. So we officially have a waiting screen for this. I can drop this back over. Hold on. Put that back over there. Perfect. Now, can you stop? That's fine. I'll move that to text. No, it doesn't. Perfect. Everything looks great on there. I gotta change the title on TikTok real quick. CajunGeek Radio. Okay. Chat interview. I guess that's the best. Well, there is a podcast category, so it's a chat and interview. That's fine. All right, save. So that's set up for there. I gotta pull up the playlist that I use for the background music for a minute.
I swear to God, this fucking gnat better go fuck off right now.
What the hell?
Sorry.
What are you?
Oh dear.
So I've got. So welcome to the South. You know, my apartment from time to time will have these nice little visitors called gnats that come flying around, and they like to fly in my face. Well, these suckers are even more freaking sadistic because they will attempt to deep throat my ass in the middle of whatever the hell I'm hyper focused in. So I can't tell you how many freaking range-inducing moments I've had when I've had to gag up a fucking gnat in the middle of freaking stream.
Uh-oh.
Or
I love the
freaking raid.
fighting gnats. Aren't they the best?
And the worst part is that I'm raging because I just got yanked out of my hyper focus. So I'm trying not to like punch something. I'm trying not to like throw something, and it's oh god.
Oh, dude, that's the worst, man.
It sounds tragic more than anything.
Right? Dude, gnats seriously are the worst, though. Like, they get everywhere, and with a lot of them, they're so small that you can't even see them. They're like smaller than freaking fruit flies.
And when you do see them,
but you can sure feel them when they bite you or when they, like try to deep throat you, like you said.
it's like when you do see them, you're like, oh, freaking, I'll have at them. And they like zip off quick as shit. And it's like, fuck you. It's like they're worse than flies, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I hate those things, man.
And one more window capture sheet. Use that. That's not what I asked for.
Well, don't do that, Panna.
Oh, I know why it's doing it. Hold up, I forgot that I swapped over to there. There we go. Are we fixed now? Are we good? Are we Gucci?
Are we Gucci?
Okay, and I recrop it. That's what I was doing. Okay, bet.
I'm
like
me,
doing this
Cajun.
on the fly right now.
So I literally am a parent in real life. Like I said, I have a son, and he's I learned to be quite a bit of a terror parent for my dad.
Oh dear.
Oh
no. Yep. Anytime my son does something where he's complaining and it's like the stupidest thing, like a tiny little small thing, I'll just be like, well, don't do that. Do your eyelashes hurt?
Oh, that's rude.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
My dad was one of those dads that's like, unless it's life, limb, or eyesight, just leave me the fuck alone.
Mood.
All right.
I'd rather him be doing that than like, other shit that dads do.
Right. You're not wrong.
Context, I was adopted when I was 9, and my biological father was an abuser.
Hey! Adopted kids! Woohoo!
Yeah. Heck yeah.
I was adopted at 12.
Aw.
Okay,
Aw, that's
before I
though.
go live, what we're just gonna talk about. We're gonna do the Zavala announcement first. Then we're gonna do the ability and exotic changes. Then we'll do the TWID information about the exotic rotator. But first, we'll start off and talk to Cajun because Cajun is the spotlight here. So I'll do the intro. We'll highlight Cajun and some stuff, and then we'll go from there.
Gotcha.
Sounds good.
Dope. All right. Let me go ahead and I got the tunes cranked up. I got the starting soon screen going, so we're gonna let everybody in. And I'm gonna turn on TikTok as well because I'm awesome.
Don't forget to post the tweet.
I am. That's what the starting screen is for.
Yeah. Well,
It gives
the
me a
last
time.
week you
I
didn't post
know. I know. But that's what the starting soon screen is for. That way I have time to do what I need to do. Okay. Ba-da-bum.
Yeah, I won't lie. That announcement yesterday caught me off guard, and I was freaking.
Dude,
Oh my
so
god, I was so emotional yesterday.
Bro, no,
emotional.
Tower, you don't understand. I legit came I legit came into his chat like a wrecking ball on TikTok. It was like, Cajun, did you see? Did you see? And he's like, what? I'm like check Twitter, check Twitter. He's like trying to scramble to find it, and then he sees it and he just starts getting emotional on stream. It was hilarious.
I saw the TikTok clip and I just started crying with you. I was like, oh my god.
It's funny because someone commented, he's like, is he starting to cry in that? And someone else and then someone responded to that and said, yeah, because he's a P word. And I'm like,
Wow.
I was like, wow. I was like, hi, I'm 42 years old. I've grown up to Keith David, okay? The first time I was introduced to Keith David was Goliath.
That's fair.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm 39, so I'm in that same young Gen X, early millennial generation. So I feel you, dude. I absolutely feel you.
Oh, we gotta try and keep some of this for freaking the podcast.
Right.
Right?
All right. Now Chrome can stop belly aching at me about freaking updating.
Oh yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna do it.
Oh yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
Okay.
Oh god.
Okay. All right. I'll be looking. Fresh ass. Okay. Man, say what you will about freaking Season of the Plunder. The music was fucking amazing.
Oh, it slapped so hard, dude.
See, I wasn't around for Plunder.
See, Plunder had some
okay.
good story, but man, like people just did not resonate with it, and it made me sad.
So it had a double story kind of going on there. First, you had, freaking Drifter and Mizrax, and us kind of working with Spider being all pirates, But then underneath it all is this really, really deep storyline about Mizrax's past and him having to come to terms with telling his daughter Ido about that, and her being upset over the fact that, like, he kept all this from her. She, that old saying, in the eyes of children, their parents are God. That's kind of how Ido was with Mizrax. So she didn't think that he could do anything wrong, and that he was this really, really wonderful person. She finds out about the fact that he's actually a freaking murderer and he's done some really bad shit in the past. And she was like, no, man, I can't handle this.
Damn.
All
See,
right.
I missed out during that year.
All right, y'all ready to get cracking?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let me go ahead and flip the screens. One over here and one over here. And then we're going to turn off the tunes. And we got to... How is everybody doing in here? Let me go ahead and crank the vibe for the live stream people. All right. What is going on, good people of the internet? It is time for another episode of Comsodrome Radio, the podcast all about it, D2 and everything we love about this crazy game. We are back with our second ever live streamed episode here at twitch.tv/PanOfThePaladin. It's going to be an amazing episode because, to be honest, I was kind of feeling like we were going to be having a dry episode this week, but then Bungie was like, nah, son, smack. And I'm like, yo, what? And like just back to back like dubs. Well, first day was dubs and anger. Then it was straight dubs on Wednesday, and then Thursday they're like, all right, like good changes, healthy for the game. That's fine. And it's just like this is frustrating, but we're gonna get through it. It's gonna be a fun time. And like since like David Alchemy can't be here today, we decided to kick it with a special guest with us this week. We have from the TikToks and the Twitch verse, one of like been saving my butt as I get back in the stream and help me with some stuff. I love this man to death. CajunGeek, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up?
All right,
How's everybody doing?
So, like, tell everybody how, like about yourself and whatnot. Like, obviously, you've been getting back into D2 recently and been kicking butt while doing it. So, like, let people know what you do.
So, hey, what's up, everybody? So first and foremost, CajunGeek. I'm an older gamer, so a lot of people like to joke around in my community, call me the grandpa. All right, I'm 42 years old, but to give a little context, I am a Air Force veteran. I did it for 10 years. Got out, got into infotech, and then now I'm in quality assurance for manufacturing. So I've got a varied history, and I bring a lot of that experience and a lot of that ADHD craziness to my streaming and content. So if you ever found me on TikTok and any of my Twitch streams, you'll see a lot of that. But thankfully, I'm also a mental health advocate because, someone who's been through a lot, I understand that there's a fine balance between physical and mental health, especially. But outside of that, I've been a huge fan of the Destiny universe. Played a bit of D1, mostly around Taken King. And then when D2 launched, I was all up on it. Um, just like everybody else had frustrations when the game launched, Curse of Osiris, then Forsaken came out and it was freaking great again. I took a break at Beyond Light because a lot of the things going on with the game, basically a lot of the frustrations, I felt it too. Um, I wasn't quite sure about where Bungie was going with things, and then just as I explained in a previous TikTok, a lot of the stuff going on with the community at that time, around that time, was like at to like heavy toxic levels.
It was the sunsetting, wasn't it? Is that what did you in?
It was part of that as well. And, now knowing myself as, ADHD and also autistic, I've come to realize how a lot of that observing that negativity can influence us and cause us to, for ourself, mask. So
Mm.
I took that step away. So without knowingly, I did something very healthy for myself. I stepped away from the game. I went and continued to enjoy other games and franchises that I've come to love over the years, and then eventually found myself wanting to step back. And when I saw the I want to say it was a deep dive about what they were coming out with Lightfall. And when I saw all the improvements, I was like, this looks absolutely amazing. This looks like the Destiny 2 that I've always wanted to play. And ever since then, I've been enjoying the game and loving it. And I've been meeting more and more new content creators as well as other players within the community, the Destiny 2 community space, that have just, it's made coming back to Destiny 2 all the time, all the while worth it.
All right, excellent. Okay. That is really dope. And like I really thought like as the week evolved, I think like this week you being here was a really good pick because like the variety of different things that are going on in the community right now, it definitely feels like that old wise sage is needed for these topics because man, it's been rough like the past few weeks when it comes to this game. So like having you here is definitely going to be a fun time, and I feel like it only makes sense to start off with the best information here because like we could start with the ability to exotic changes, but we're not gonna. We're gonna start off with the best news that we got this week, which was that Bungie kind of like spooked us a little bit because first they started like the title of the article originally was information on the future of Zavala's journey, and I'm like, Bungie, this is concerning. This is
I I thought
terrifying.
that was going to be a massive gut punch. All
Right.
right. I was like, we, and I get it. Last week, the state of the game left a lot of people sour in their,
Mm,
sour, and
Mhm.
everyone had their different frustrations with it.
right.
Um, but to see that title, to see the article, it's like, no, Bungie, don't do this again. Don't do it twice.
And then to scroll down
And
and
you
see
see
what they were
greatness
talking about.
because
You
like
see a legend.
oh it was so great because for those who don't know Bungie came out and talked about how they appreciate the work that Lance Reddick did with Zavala for the past 9 years, but with Lance's passing they couldn't just not develop Zavala further, especially where he is in the story right now. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, so they needed to make the right call, and they chose to recast and have somebody step in. And to be honest, I don't think there was anybody better that could have did this because they had legendary, prolific actor Keith David come in and just amaze us. Like you see this man's face in this article, and you're just in shock. And like the best part of it was the minute I saw it, I quickly like filmed the TikTok about it, put it up, and then I saw Cajun was live, so I come in freaking out, and I'm like, bro, you need to check Twitter like right now, like stop what you're doing, stop like game and check Twitter. And he's like, what the heck is going on? He's like telling his chat, he's like, oh, Panda the Paladin's in my TikTok chat, give me a second, and like he checks it and reads it live, and he just like starts crying, and it was the greatest shit because I was crying when I first read it, and like to see like a legend like Keith come in and take over, I'm so happy, man. Like I don't
I
know
think
how
one of
anyone,
my
yeah.
I think one of the most important things about that article, not just Keith, but they made it a point to state that they're not pulling an Anna Bray or a Dinkle on
Yeah.
with Zavala. That they will be keeping all his previously recorded dialogue in the game,
Exactly.
for Lance, and that they will be, everything that he did record up to his passing will also remain as Lance's recordings.
Which
So
makes
they're not
sense, yeah.
final shape stuff. But the nice thing is that means that we get to hear that transition in game from
Most
Lance
does.
to Keith. So it'll be a nice slow transition, so everyone will get used to the fact that Keith is now Zavala.
Right.
So we'll be able to see that from like the storyline of Final Shape to the individual seasons, maybe new strike dialogue or things like that, because we all know that like Bungie records the DLC stuff like a good year and a half, some of them even 2 years in advance. So like all of Lance's lines for Final Shape have been done. It was just more the seasonal stuff that they do like 6 to 9 months in advance.
Well, to be honest, we don't really know because what was one of the narrative directors said that the last lines he filled with Zavala were Season of the Deep. So truth be told, we don't fully know.
Right. So that was specifically Robert's recording session with
That's
Lance.
fair.
That doesn't necessarily mean that it was like, say, one of the other directors. I don't know all the directors' names, but that was just specifically his last session with Lance.
And I think this is where, for us as a community, we need to like just kind of have ourselves a little bit braced, because going into next season, we don't know. We might still get some more lines from from Lance. And then after this season, just kind of like take it one season at a time, be like, okay, is this when we're going to start hearing Keith David? Or is it going to be Final Shape that we're going to start hearing Keith David? We don't know exactly okay. And another thing to take into account, this is August. Okay. So we know that Bungie does a lot of their development in advance. So because of that, this is where, it's like, okay, if he's coming on board now in August, when are we going to actually start hearing him? If I had to surmise, I wouldn't be surprised if this is more possibly, like Tower said, post Final Shape that we start hearing Keith, or this might also be like, okay, they may not have got all the lines done for Final Shape, so we might hear a bit of a mix in Final Shape. We don't know.
Right. Heck, we couldn't
but
even hear.
But at the same,
heck, we couldn't. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I was gonna say, at the same time, like for me, yeah, I was emotional when I read that live on stream, because Keith David is one of those actors and voice actors that I have grown up. Like me and Tower said earlier, he is Goliath to me. Okay, that was something I grew up with, back in the 90s. And over the decades, he has just come out with so many amazing roles. And I mean, look, he's Arbiter. I mean, this is his second time coming back to work for Bungie.
You're right, yeah.
Okay, this man, if there's ever someone to replace, and I'm not saying this in a bad connotative way, but to step into the shoes of Zavala to take over for Lance.
I don't think there's anybody else that could do it, honestly.
No,
there really
not.
Isn't.
And I'll be honest, like after the announcement, when I was at work, because I work graveyard shift, I sat there and I was like, who else in the voice acting community and sphere, or even an actor, could possibly replicate the integrity? And like I said, the key word that even Keith put out, the integrity that Lance brought to Zavala. Who else could do it? I to be honest, I really couldn't think of anyone else.
Honestly, no, there really isn't a whole lot of people that got
Totally
honestly do
agreed.
it. And what really resonated with me was the fact that like people were super worried that like Bungie was just gonna like put Zavala in the office and not do anything else with him. But like,
oh yeah,
like there was people who wanted them to do that. I'm like, why? or they wanted to kill him, and I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Like, not only did he just deal with Holiday dying, which the worst possible thing happened, where Lance passed, and then like a week later, Holiday passes, and then you see Zavala grieving in the farm at Holiday's grave, and it's like, this is really symbolic in a real messed up way. And it's just
that
like,
was
Dude,
heavily emotional.
Like,
yeah.
I feel bad for the narrative team because they had no idea that shit was about to happen. Like, I feel bad for them.
The other thing, you were talking about people wanting to, have Zavala pass on himself. There were also people up in Bungie's announcement saying, well, why didn't you just do AI? Like, Lance was one of the strongest people against AI voice.
Yeah.
Not only his family, his wife was all like, no, you're not taking my husband's voice. Like,
I'm sorry. To me, that was the biggest. You really don't know Lance Riddick as a person.
Right.
To go and make a, suggestion like that. And to be fair to the other people. Exactly. And to the other people that were sitting there saying, oh, don't recast him, let him sit in the office, in a corner. To me, it's the same people that were, and I'm really feel like I'm toeing a line when I talk about this. The Chadwick Boseman situation.
Speak on it.
Okay, because there's a lot of people that felt very, very strongly that he is the only one Black Panther. And look, as someone, I am not of the BIPOC community, but I am a Marvel fan through and through. And to me, Chadwick Boseman will always be Black Panther. But I also understand from a comic book and story narrative that at some point you have to pass on the mantle. Right. So like recently with Wakanda Forever, when we saw the mantle pass on to Shuri, that was an understandable from a narrative perspective. Because you've got to continue that story somehow. But at the same time, what's that?
Didn't Shuri also become Black Panther in the comics?
Yeah, she did.
Yes,
I'm wrong.
Well, because what was really weird when it comes to the comic books recently was you had her become Black Panther during the early 2000s. Then she died fighting Thanos, and then she went to the spirit world, came back as like a spirit shaman, and was like on T'Challa's council like right as the movie came out. And then they're like, wait, change everything, make her a tech geek. And it's like, wait, hold up, whoa, you done messed with everything. Like, we had a lot of things going good here, and it was, but like, so there's a lot of times when comic books can change things or movies can change things differently. But when it comes to that specifically, multiverse can fix that whole debacle in 5 minutes. I say leave it for a couple of years, give it time, let it simmer, let Chad have his time, and then when the time is right, like burn out the especially with Secret Wars coming in. We know Secret Wars is multiverse hell. You could have anybody come in there who fits the mark right and squad up with Shuri. Hell, fucking what was it? Disney World, Disneyland already does it. Where Shuri and T'Challa walk out together, and they're like, "Oh, you're from a different universe," and it's like they have a whole moment together. But when it comes to Zavala specifically, I had a dude in my comments who was being all rude about it, and getting mad that they recast him. I'm like, saying no one could measure up to Lance, and it's like, look, this isn't the first time we've recast the Vanguard. Zavala was the last one that hadn't bit the bullet before. Granted, it's under crappier circumstances, but there are other people that can like voice actors have to voice match all the time. Like, you think the Scooby-Doo cast is the same besides Frank Welker? You're out of your damn mind. Like, hell, like Casey Kasem's old ass kept waiting for somebody to come along who could do it right, and then he passed it on to old dude from the movies when he was ready, and Casey Kasem gave up Shaggy. Like, voice actors come and go all the time, but I even said in my video, Gina Torres was Ikora for years, But what was getting frustrating was Gina Torres was doing other TV shows, other movies, and other video games, so she couldn't commit. And what was so funny about it was she did a video around the same time Lance did one for Guardian games, like to hype up the Titans of the Warlocks. And then like a month later, Mara Juno does Splicer. And I'm like, damn, that's funny. So like, and Mara Juno came out swinging when it came to this, because not only did she come in the season of Splicer and just kill it, but then in the same month she came out as Sloane in Fortnite. So you have her in 2 giant franchises kicking butt and doing what she needs to do, and she came in with such like an understanding of the universe, and like there was not a single line she flubbed or did wrong, and proved you could do Ikora in a new way that sounds pretty distinct to Gina Torres, but like a pitch up. The only Vanguard member that was miscast, I will always say, is Nolan North, because Nolan North just walked in the door and did his Deadpool for an hour, and everyone just dealt with it because Cade is a knockoff Deadpool, and I'll die on that hill. But like, yeah.
Is Robot
You know I'm right.
Mad?
You know I'm right, Cajun.
He's
knockoff
when I heard you say that yesterday, I was like, no, it's not knockoff Deadpool.
Yeah, you said.
God damn it! Now I can hear it.
Because like because I used to joke about it when Forsaken came out, and was like, Cade is a knockoff Deadpool when they call Deadpool to voice him when Nathan Fillion is busy. Like that whole campaign opening where you have Nolan North talking to himself for a half hour. It's just like, they're like push the red button. Which red button? Nolan, are you okay? Are you having an episode? Like, why are you talking to yourself? Like, that's what happened there. And it's like,
look, I never felt so validated as someone who grew up in the 80s and 90s when freaking Nolan North as Cade cracked that Back to the Future joke. I was like, I was like, okay, I am cool with this.
Right.
All right.
I will say, friggin' when recently during the Bungie Foundation fundraiser, when they were getting the different voice actors to come in and do things, Nolan North actually like on camera did Ghost's voice, and it was very jarring to me because I'm used to him having a certain tone with different characters. I had never seen him do Ghost's voice. And it was like, damn, that's all right.
I sent you the cameo that he did for Kiddo's birthday a few years ago.
It's just really crazy.
Yeah. The other thing is that we were talking about Mara Juno, and I don't know if either of you guys saw, but she also did the voice of Chioma Essie this season for the Veil containment logs.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
That is Mara. That's the same lady that they brought in to replace Gina as Ikora, and Mara doesn't sound a damn thing like Gina when she's doing Chioma. Like, the woman has freaking range.
She killed it.
I was confused, man. I was like, that can't be Mara.
And like, and the one thing that like I kind of figured was gonna happen was them saying, yeah, we're gonna keep Lance's lines, because like, when Forsaken first came out, they left all of Nathan's Red War lines and his lines that were in there, like, and they left all of Gina Torres' lines in Shadowkeep.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think they were gonna just cut it off. So, like, the Vanguard has consistently been the one group of people that, like, regardless of recasting, kept their voices around. Like when
see, there's a reason for that.
Why is
There's
that?
a reason.
Is the contracts?
No. So it's the people who have been replaced. So Dinklage and the person who originally did Anna Bray have come out and stated that they did not want to continue to be associated with those characters.
Why? Well, like I get Shax had some beef, but I don't know why Jamie Chung had beef with being Anna.
Dinklage, as in the original Dink box.
Oh yeah, well, Dinklage didn't want to be tied to a microphone. He wanted to keep doing other things. That's why he went to Game of Thrones.
But he also stated that he no longer wanted to be associated with the character. That's why Nolan went back and recorded all of Dink's lines in D1.
Right. And heck, when Erika Ishii took over as Anna, she went back and redid all of Warmind. And truth be told, no disrespect. And truth be told, no disrespect to Chi-Chi from Dragon Ball Evolution. I gotta give it up to Erika Ishii, because her portrayal of Anna Bray is so much more passionate and so much more into it. Because when I came back during Season of Arrivals, I played the version of Warmind with Erika, but I've gone back and listened to Jamie Chung's version, and it felt like she was phoning it in. It didn't feel like she was really into the character. So when you hear Erika just give this veracity and this excitement, especially I remember what was it, the Beyond Light Darkness post game missions, when she finds out about Elsie and Clovis and whatnot, she's hurt.
Ooh.
She's pissed.
Yeah.
She's upset. So you can tell Erika's putting her heart in that.
Oh, she really does.
Erika was a great choice to cast as Anna, to recast as her, because she's been killing it. She really
and what's so funny is I remember when Witch Queen first came out, and they unintentionally telegraphed who was going to be coming back per season when Zavala gets his glass ceiling broken, and you have that whole you have that whole meeting and whatnot about the Traveler, because you had Mara, you had
Oh no,
Eris.
they didn't unintentionally telegraph that. They told us they did that on purpose.
Okay, yeah, because you had Mara,
they do that with every expansion.
Right, because you had Mara, you had Eris, you had Anna Bray, and there was one other. Because and then Plunder,
Saint.
So you had everybody who was part of each season lined up like a T, and I sat here when as Plunder was ending.
Oh, and you had Mizrex and Kayadal on hologram.
Right, and as Plunder was ending, I sat there there's only one person from this meeting that hasn't been here in a hot minute, and everybody in that meeting except for Ikora and Zavala and you was silent, because they didn't actually have those voice actors there. So one person is missing from this equation. I have a feeling if I watch Erika's social media a little bit closer, something's gonna happen. And she's like, Anna's back. I'm like, yes. So it was good to see her come back. So if there is a soul on this earth that thinks Keith David is not about to whoop ass as Zavala, I don't know what to tell you. And just based
playing
on
Destiny, just stop playing Destiny.
Right,
if you don't
exactly.
Think
hands down,
play some Fortnite, some COD. Modern Warfare 3 is coming out in a couple of months. Go play that.
Right, do something else. And the thing about it is, just looking at the story right now, where not only you see, he just lost Holiday, that whole moment in Season of the Deep just now, where he talks Sloane out of Xivu Araf's control with a blade to his throat. Hell, I was sitting here it would be real fucked up if Sloane just fully swings that sword and they just end it off right there and put Mara Juno in charge. But I wouldn't put it past him. But I wouldn't put it past him. And then Lance sit there and talks her down, and I'm like, you gotta be thinking real tough right now. Maybe those narrative directors are biting their tongue right now. We could have totally pulled that trigger, and it just
they could have,
and
they absolutely could have, and that was the crazy bit right there.
And it's
because think of it, they could have easily, shortly after the passing of Lance, they could have made that narrative choice, because they could have freaking nixed Zavala right there.
Yeah.
But this is where you also got to look into the development, right? Bungie, when it comes to the seasons and everything is done so far out in advance that even at the time of the passing of Lance Riddick, if they would have made a decision, okay, at this point in Season of the Deep, we're just going to change the narrative story, they would have had to do so much extra work in order
Yeah,
to inflict that change,
exactly.
that the question comes in, how would this have affected not only seasons 22 and 23, but how would this have
Final
affected
Shape.
Final Shape
The
and
final
its
shape
seasons?
and the seasons
I,
there, yeah.
I said, you know, for them to make that much of a drastic change would have significantly hurt Destiny 2 as a whole.
Yeah.
So I
It really
think for
would have,
me,
yep.
so I think like I said, casting Keith David was not only an amazing choice, but a good choice, but also a natural progression. And it shows that I think a lot of people that were worried about Zavala kind of like ending soon, not just because of Lance, but because of the character progression, the character development that we're seeing him, because he's going through a crisis of faith
Yeah.
with the Traveler and his beliefs, especially with everything that he's been through in his life. But casting Keith David, I feel that we're going to see Zavala for a lot longer than what we originally believed. I hope
Right.
so. I really
Oh,
do.
absolutely.
And like what really resonated with me was there was a lot of people who were saying, oh, just put him in the office. But like the reason why I say don't do that is look at the speech that he gave, or like not the speech, but the conversation that he had with Satan this season, where he's like, I'm getting real tired of being chained to this desk. And like and that line really resonated with me because back when Forsaken came out, everybody and their mama was hating on Zavala because he chose to stay in the last city and protect everybody and not go after Cade, and he made Ikora stay and like not help, and people were mad at him, and it sucks. I'm always defending him because when you're in a tough spot like that, you have to make the right choice. And that moment right there where he says, "I'm getting real tired of being chained to this desk," you can tell that he's sick of having to be the one to be the leader. He wants to be on the front line, and he even asked Tate, like, "Hey man, how'd you do this back in the day?" He's like, "Truth be told, man, I didn't see that desk half the fucking time anyway." And it's like, hey, like you're not wrong.
Saint did go out, and as soon as freaking Osiris was gone, he started freaking going after all the Kells.
Right. So it was very obvious that like I never thought that Bungie would do an AI thing, but like given what's been going on with like Disney and whatnot, it started to concern me. But I'm glad they made the right choice. And I think that I think we're all sort of like hype, see what happens. What I've been really enjoying is people making like stitches of Zavala like in random scenes, and like someone did the moment where he like slams his fist on the desk from Witch Queen, and then they had the line for Rick and Morty where he's like, "God damn, I see you playing Minecraft. I have you on satellite." I'm like, man, let's go,
dude. My favorite one was the one that Destiny the Meme made recently, where they took Zavala and put him in front of the freaking
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was hilarious, dude. So now you got Zavala telling Ramirez to run.
Jesus. Okay.
It's the best thing ever.
Well, let us dive into the first article we got this week, because Bungie decided to drop, because they hinted at it last week during the State of the Game, but everyone's pissed off the State of the Game, so they didn't really care about that. But they hinted at it at the Season 22 Abilities and Armor Changes preview, and this was definitely a mixed bag right here. Like the majority of it was good, but some of it was like, what are you doing? But so let's holler at the Hunters real quick. So Hunters, they said, "Hey yo, we about to just take all this stuff from Foe Tracer and just shove it into Knucklehead Radar." And it's like, okay, we just merged exotics for no reason. But they're like, wait, hold up. we're about to give Foe Tracer a whole new dynamic where like if your weapon matches your subclass, you're about to be doing crazy ass damage, and then you'll be able to spawn random element like ionic traces and fire sprites and stuff like that. I'm like, that's kind of cool, but like that's really random. Like you're really taking Foe Tracer kind of seriously. Like you generate this from your foes. It's a little weird of a concept, but like you could have just made this its own exotic and not just drained a whole other exotic. But like I guess consolidation and retooling makes sense. I don't play Hunter like that, but I don't know how y'all feel about this change up.
So Foe Tracer is kind of getting that same treatment that if you look across the board, other exotics, each class, it seems like there's these exotics for each class that are going to function in a similar manner, which is good. That gives each class their own unique. I would call it more of an omni exotic.
Mm-hmm.
So to where you could use it with pretty much any class, and those type of exotics are really great because that means that you can sit there from a new player's perspective, be able to multi-use it, kind of like Hoyle for freaking Titans, right?
That makes sense, yeah.
And so those type of exotics are really great to have, especially across the board, because then you've got a multi-use exotic. The Foe Tracer perk being moved to Knucklehead Radar, you now have a really good PvP freaking exotic now.
Potentially, yeah.
It ups the ante, and to where it's like, okay, hunters, you can put away the stompies. You can put away the stompies. You got options. Okay.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Lucky Raspberry,
Yes.
When I read that, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be
because truth be told, Arc Bolts haven't been worth a damn in a hot minute, but now the potential for them to actually be an overload tool is really cool. Like you already started to see with Jolt, like starting to see potential for overloads, but now they're like, nah, straight up, just like the whole ass grenade just stuns champions. And the other thing with Foe Tracer was they straight up said, hey yo, we're gonna take the concept that we developed from like a previous battle pass with Monochromatic Maestro, and that was kind of cool because that means that Bungie's gonna be using the artifact as a stepping stone to buff other exotics. And it was very interesting because it tells me a couple of things I'm gonna hit to when we get to Titan, because I'm a little salty about one thing with the Titan exotics, but we're gonna get to that. And then with renewal grasp, they're just like, hey yo, power creep's a bitch. We're unnerfing what we did. Go nuts. So I'm like, that's fine, because truth be told, when everyone was freaking out about Laurel Lee and renewal grasp, I was like, both are fine. Like Sun Warrior's great. Renewal grasp is a good counter. We're fine. But everyone was freaking the hell out. So yeah.
And to be honest, don't be upset when Bungie undoes a nerf, especially as they progress, because really take a second and look back now. Okay, we've had 2 seasons back to back of them reworking exotics, bringing these underperforming exotics up to freaking par to say, hey, here's a viable exotic for you. Okay, the freaking landscape, good example. Vesper of Radius. When they redid it, a lot of people didn't think that it was going to be worth a crap.
Now it's spanking in GMs.
It is freaking. I did not think, I thought freaking, as someone who's been playing Warlock this entire season, thanks to Fallen Sunstar, that Vesper wasn't that good. Oh, it is freaking fantastic. Okay. Yeah. And so now looking at some of these other exotics, all the changes, I'm like, I am thinking long-term, like, okay, here's another build. We get ready. We're getting into the age of Destiny 2 where the builds are the key. And you're going to have some that are good for endgame. Some are good for messing around. Some are great for PvP. This is going to be it.
Heck, you even saw this season with seasonal mods. Something as crazy as freaking It's on my freaking Titan right now. I can't remember the freaking name of it. Severance Enclosure. Severance Enclosure has been coming back as a freaking like random ass tool for Void Titans to dig around with. And that's been fun as hell because straight up you just like with all the volatile mods on and whatnot, you finish an enemy, just explosions everywhere. It's so much fun. But then like now these Titan changes, man. Okay, so Bungie's like, hey, you know how we like did that cool thing with Eternal Warrior? We're gonna do that with some other exotics. And I was like, and this whole season, I have been saying nonstop, Bungie, do what you did with Eternal Warrior with Saint 14 Helm. I've been saying it nonstop. Do what you did, because that way Saint 14 Helm has something more than just blinding, because truth be told, it just sits on your head for like 80% of gameplay. So it would be a really great tool if you gave it that void buff. And then they're like, hey, we hear you, but we're gonna give it to Doomfangs instead. I'm like, like I get. The thing is, I get it, because like when was the last time anybody used Doomfangs? Hell, I've joked about it on the podcast before. Like no one's used Doomfangs for 1,000 years. So like this might be like Doomfang's chance to rise up, especially with them buffing Sentinel Shield recently, because there was the one. I remember there was the one thing I saw where someone ran through the new version of Lake of Shadows with like infinite super on freaking Sentinel Shield, and I was like, how the hell are you doing that? So
that build is kind of freaking nutty. I won't lie.
Right.
When I had a chance to mess around with it, I was like, this is stupid, but it's fun.
So like if you actually let like Doomfangs boost void weapon damage, that might actually do some crazy shit next season. And then the one I was surprised by was they said, hey yo, we're gonna do that, but with stasis and icefall mantle. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. You mean the thing that I've wanted to actually do a thing for so long, you're actually gonna let do a thing? Really?
It's doing the thing.
It's finally doing the thing, Julie. Oh my god! Because I've been saying since Beyond Light that Icefall Mantle could be so good if they take away the slowness of it. They did that. Then they're like, hey, now we're gonna like buff the uptime a little bit. Cool, they did that. And it's like, it's missing something. What could it be missing? That like we're gonna give it a stasis damage boost option, and whenever you activate your class ability, you hit *4. And I'm like, really? Really? Okay, cool. So like next season, so you're telling me next season when fucking Wicked Implement gets buffed, I'm gonna just be walking around GMs with Icefall Mantle and just blocking all damage with Wicked Implement. Is that what you're telling me? Because that's gonna be great.
Yep.
Like Whisper of Rhyme plus Icefall Mantle and Wicked Implement. GMs all day, baby. GMs all day.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm already looking at that. I'm not looking at Wicked Implement. I'm looking at Aegis Scepter. I'm like, freaking let's slap on that one.
Dude,
let's get a freaking chill.
Everybody's sleeping on Aegis too.
Yeah, let's get a freaking chill.
Riptide,
and then
conditional finality,
and then the tease later on what we're gonna be talking about with the freaking rotator. Being able to craft a chill bump, a bump of the night chill clip.
Oh yeah. I love me bump of the night. Bump of the night's gonna be I love me. Oh, that's gonna be really good.
Stasis is gonna be in a good spot next season.
I might actually start sitting down and crafting that on D2 armor picker tonight, because I can hit triple 100s off of stasis really easily. So I might actually sit down and make that Icefall Mantle build tonight, because holy crap, that sounds awesome.
Hey, just remember, if you need any help with them freaking stat builds, freaking go talk to Quad King Ferrum.
Man, Quad King came through my stream earlier today, and like I like he followed me finally after like being a fan of him for the past year and a half. I was like, oh my god, it's Quad King. And it was cracking me up. But no, and like the fact that they're doing this with Icefall Mantle and Doomfang Palters, they're fixing Path of Burning Steps, because people have been really upset because this whole new system with them like turning down some exotics to that way they're not being overly buffed by surge mods. They really like crapped on Path of Burning Steps because like it wasn't super meta, but it could do some cool things, and now they like put it in its own little category now, and it's sort of being hindered by that. So they're like, okay, cool, we'll let you hit *4 if you get a grenade kill. And I'm like, that's cool, but like I miss old Path of Burning Steps. Like that was really cool. Like I miss that. But and then they're like, hey, Eternal Warriors, and it gets like a little bit of a buff too. I'm like, that's dope, cool. And now there's feedback fence. Bungie, why? Why did you do this? Like I get it, you want to make more things be tied to your new systems, but feedback fence was fine. Like, do you realize how hard it is to get an armor charge in PvP? Like for those who don't know, what they're doing to feedback HDC feedback fences, they're making it so it has a whole new perk system where like they're saying it's to increase the versatility and make it more useful in scenarios where you might not be taking a lot of melee damage. Because with the new perk, which completely replaces the old perk, when melee hits give you an armor charge, you take reduced melee damage while you have that armor charge. Taking a melee damage causes you to emit a burst of arc energy that jolts targets, consuming your armor charge and dealing more damage based on the number of stacks you consume. Note that the damage dealt by the burst of arc energy should be comparable to its current damage for 0 to 3 stacks of armor charge. But I ask again, why? Feedback fence is already in a really healthy place where not only is it like kind of a sleeper pick for PvP, it synergizes with glaives and can be really good for like a casual player in PvE. Why change this? Because truth be told, we have enough good things in Arc that we don't need this. We have Cannon Brace finally in a healthy place. We have Eternal Warrior finally after years of being in our vaults. Like we have Curious, we have multiple different options to mess with Arc. This didn't need to be tied to Arc, and I don't really get Bungie's headspace with this.
This is one of those exotic changes that I don't quite like. Even from an end game standpoint, I don't see it. Like, why? Like, no offense. Like, if I'm in a Grandmaster Nightfall, I'm not gonna want something freaking melee hitting me because
you could because a freaking Dread can one shot you with a slap to the face.
To me, this and you like you said, there's so many freaking Arc exotics that Titans got a hold of, and it's like, okay, this is just overkill. I think that they could have reworked this a lot better,
right?
And at the same time, you know, like you said, this is another one of those exotics that Titans lost out on when it comes to PvP.
Yeah, it's
So
very
here's my
odd.
take on that. Here's my take on that as someone who dabbles in Titan but doesn't necessarily main Titan. I think they did that for the newer lights. For people who maybe so because of the fact that it has to deal with melee damage, and a lot of new lights really can't like survive a lot of melee damage. Having that exotic to keep them alive when they're even just doing like a lost sector or, you know, just maybe like a higher level strike or nightfall, maybe like a battleground or something like that, that will allow them to feel like they're, you know, actually progressing, you know, and being able to stay alive, but also be able to participate in the activity.
Interesting. I don't know.
Because there were a lot of things that like a lot of like exotics that I got that I had no idea how they worked, but they kept me alive when I was first starting out. And like, you know, stuff like Sanguine. Freaking Sanguine robes, like that thing kept me alive in a lot of strikes.
And now Sanguine Alchemy can freaking one-shot people.
But I don't even use it anymore. Because I've found better exotics. I've learned how to build. You know, I have that experience now that it tells me, okay, this may have been good for me when I was a new light, but now I'm more of a veteran player and I understand how things work. But it's a nice way to kind of like lead them into understanding how exotic works and how to build around exotics, or how to build your armor so that way you can, you know, survive more, or you have a stronger melee, you know, things like that.
I get the thought process. Yeah, I don't know. Can't do
And
anything.
I think that's a fair point too. Especially if you take notice of what Bungie's been doing as of late. They've been making the game easier to use, especially for the newer players. Now, we can all
Mhm.
agree that, Bungie's, intro for new players isn't quite as good as it could be. Um,
Yeah.
especially from a new light experience. However, if you think of exotics from a tier list, good for beginners, intermediate, and then more advanced in that aspect, then yeah, feedback fence would be one of those that would be good for new players, especially considering the fact that it gives you melee resistance based upon the armor charges, and that if you do get a melee hit, and even then, from a new light perspective, let's say I intentionally go get melee hit in a crowd of freaking mobs, depending upon
Mhm.
how good that damage is, that could be enough to wipe a crowd.
Yeah, potentially.
So,
Yeah,
Like
so,
if
exactly.
you're just cruising
so
like cruising to the EDZ, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
at that point,
exactly.
if you think of it like this, freaking, you've got a freaking Titan build, a true Titan build per se. Oh, I could see some blueberry goofiness going on with that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it could make sense. I'm like, now that you feel like that, it makes a little more sense. I don't know. It just feels weird because like it really felt like this was more of a PvP oriented exotic for like newer players. That way, like it just does the thing. If someone punches you, it does the thing, and it felt like it made sense in the structure of what the game like made it for it. But
Mm.
I'm not like I feel like Bungie's doing this thing where they keep trying to change certain exotics from PvP to PvE. Like recently with no backup plans. You never see that thing in PvP no more, but man, I'll crush a freaking like high level activity with it. Like I love my freaking.
Mhm.
I was running it on stream earlier today, walking around with freaking uh freaking big ass heavy shotgun like Legend Acreus and just busted like people in the face. It's fun. So I
Yeah.
get it, but like I just don't want them to turn too many exotics into PvE light instead of just enjoy the PvP aspect. So we'll have to see how it
Sure.
rolls out. Then
Yeah.
from there, the Hollow Fireheart. So Hollow Fireheart has had this problem where ever since Heart of Inmo's Light's introduction, it hasn't really had a place where like Heart of Inmost Light just does it better. It does it for every like subclass, not just for solar. And the problem with the problem that I've always seen with Hollow Fireheart is it gives you the best ability region when you hold your super. But the whole point of Solar Titan is to lead into your super and to do things with it and to utilize it and be able to like generate sunspots and and like generate fire columns to do damage. So that's what's always been my problem by Hollow Fireheart is it de-incentivizes you from using like your tools. And it's really
Yeah.
bothersome. So what they're
Mm.
saying like that they're going to be doing is they're going to be like they're going to be taking away some of its base energy to solar abilities, and they're going to be like leading into sunspots. They don't explain how yet, and they're going to keep the full like the ability regen at super levels the same. But why not just give it busted ability regen with solar all the time? Like if you're radiant or you have like say you rework Sun Warrior, where if you're in a sunspot where you have Soul Invictus, you just get mad ability regen from the Hollow Fireheart innately, rather than it being, hey, you have to hold your super. Because with Hoyle, you just pop a barricade or you throw a grenade and you get ability regen. So
Mhm.
I still think unless this thing just cranks a million sunspots on the field, I don't think this is gonna be groundbreaking. Hollow Fireheart needs to just turn off the super like leash and let it do its thing. And I don't really get what Bungie's thought process here because they're like holding Hollow Fireheart by the collar and going, "You can't be Hoyle. You're not allowed to be Hoyle." And it's just very confusing to me.
Well,
Hmm.
like I said in my TikTok yesterday, it feels like it's becoming the solar sister of Heart of Innermost Light. But until we see them flesh out exactly what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
I could see some potential. Like I could see but this is where it's also kind of conflicting, because when they're teasing something with Hellfire Heart, and they're saying it's going to lean into freaking sunspots, then at the same time you're kind of like, wait a second, doesn't Titan already have something like that? Yeah, Loreley's
Cradle.
Splendor.
Well, Loreley and Cradle.
Loreley.
Exactly. So it's like, how exactly is this going to lean in the sunspot that we haven't seen already?
Right. And one thing that I've been saying ever since Solar 3.0 came out is that, like, Solar Titan, all it does is heal. All it does is heal and do damage with sunspots. It has lost so much functionality from Solar 3.0, because not only did we have temperamental in the back of the day where you could debuff enemies with it, but they like nerfed it into the ground, because all you ever saw was Solar Titans like knee callus in the face. So you saw people stop using it because it got nerfed so much. And then we had the Loreley Splendor Crisis of '89, where you had people not understanding how that Sun Warrior had been a thing for years. And when like Loreley gave you automatic sunspots, you had Sun Warrior on pocket, and people freaked out. Now, freaking Sanguine Alchemy sitting in the corner and just boosting damage, and people are like, "Oh, that's not a problem." Or like when what was it, when freaking the new Hunter chest piece that everyone loves, friggin' what is it? I'm like scrolling down. When Gerfalcon first came out, it was letting people one shot nothing. You never saw anybody say nothing about that, but Loreley was a problem. Oh my god! But like, that's what the serious problem is. Bungie, I think, is very afraid to let Solar Titan do a thing. And truth be told, Hellfire Heart could have just been like, "Hey, full rework. If you have Soul Invictus, you have Sun Warrior, but you can't just turn a sunspot on like how you did with Loreley. You have to get an ability kill. You have to do something with that to get the Sun Warrior buff, but you bring Sun Warrior back in the chess piece." That would have been genius, because that's what's been missing from the Solar kit the past like year and a half, is Solar isn't usable other than survival. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Screw Bonk Titan with Symptom Simpson and the Bonk Hammer. That's not a legitimate strat. Solar Titan needs something that is functional beyond a neutral game exotic boosting a melee that without it doesn't really do much anyway. Like, you need to give Solar Titan something that's functional without a neutral game exotic boosting it. That's my little sandbox.
And no offense, as someone who's playing all three classes, and as heard so many times from people in the community, whenever you're trying to do like X achievement or like something solo, and the go-to is like, "Oh, do bonk hammer."
Right.
I hate Bonk Hammer. I'll be the one to say I've been Titan main since D1 Vanilla Beta. I hate Bonk Hammer. I hated Bonk Hammer back when you used to freaking 1-2 punch shotgun, one-shot bosses. I hated it back then. I hate it now because it feels too easy. It feels too easy to put on a pair of arms and just do a thing with a broken subclass that's not broken like it's good. It's broken fundamentally because Bungie has like taken too much away from it.
Yeah. It's also one of those things. I'm gonna say this. I wish Bungie would get rid of the retrieve thing from the bonk. It's like, look, if it makes impact, I get it back. Okay, let's freaking end having to go freaking chase after this damn thing, especially if it freaking, if you whiff, there should be a penalty. Okay,
right.
But if it freaking hits the damn mob at like the worst freaking angle possible, and it goes freaking sideways off the wall, 2 pillars down, nothing but net into a freaking hole, it's like, okay, I hit my freaking target, but now I'm getting penalized for freaking adjunct freaking angles and bullshit.
Right.
It's like
it's a little odd.
It's like freaking.
Like, there's no reason I should be screaming my hammer every 5 seconds.
Exactly.
That's my boy. No, my boy. Father, help.
It's like, let's take a note in page from freaking Hunter with their freaking blades. You make impact. You get increased melee regen.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we should be able to pull off something similar with Hunter, especially considering they've got a projectile freaking hammer.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah,
And if it's a matter of making it too OP, scale down the damage just a little bit.
Exactly.
It's balance it.
Yes.
And like, here's my hot take. I feel like Synthoceps does need a rework in general because they nerfed their potential when it came to glaives recently. Just turn Synthoceps into the glaive exotic. Like don't even make it be tied to like melee damage. Just make it boost glaive damage. That way, it turns off the bonk build, but it makes glaives like worth using. Like
I think they still need to work glaives overall. They still got to freaking tweak that situation.
Yeah.
Like one of the worst upsets this past season was, hey, I know we just nerfed this giant stasis heavy glaive, but here's a trident ornament for it. I'm like, bro.
Yes.
And it was available for Bright Dust, so and I'm like, bro, why? Okay, so Warlocks,
it's so pretty.
It is pretty. So Warlocks, it's time to shine. So Astrocyte verse. Blink Warlock's about to be eating good for a minute because not only do when you first blink, things that were around you when you blink become volatile. When you're in your Nova Warp, your blink ability no longer consumes super energy. Oh shit! Blink Warlock is back.
So here's what I'm gonna say. First and foremost, you're gonna see who has freaking resilience and who doesn't have resilience as a warlock with this, okay? Because you're gonna see some blueberry grab a hold of this and think that they're gonna be blinking all over God's good green earth, and freaking they get one shot by a little dreg, and it's freaking hilarious as hell. But
I can see it.
But at the same time, when I first read this before they made the edit, I was like, I'm not quite sure how that's really going to play out. But now, since they've done the edit and explained it a little bit better, it's like, oh, this is about to get nutty. You're going to see some high skill players use and abuse this in so many beautiful freaking ways.
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Yes.
Especially when there's a void season in the artifact.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let us have another void season like we just recently had in season 21 or season 20. Oh, that's going to be
great.
It's
going to be great.
It's going to be so much fun, dude.
Just generating void breaches out of nowhere. It's be insane.
Yes.
Then there's Geomags. So I think Bungie's afraid to let Geomags do a thing again, but they're like, we have to do something with them. So they're like, hey, we're not going to turn the sprint boost back on, but we're at least going to make it so if you wear them, ionic traces give you super energy. And I'm like, all right, that's fair. Like, you don't want to make them a 2 OP again, but this is a cool trade-off. It synergizes with the 3.0. That's fine. I can get behind that.
All right, for those that have been following me in both my community as well as on TikTok, and I've talked about this recently, I've got one word for you. Warlocks, I want you to listen to me, okay? The next time there's a freaking arc season, grab Geomag stabilizers, okay? And you're going to use another exotic.
Cold Heart.
It's called Cold Heart. Holy crap. The amount of ionic traces you're going to be generating.
You about to have chaos reaches out the wazoo, my guy. Like,
oh dude, it's going to be nonstop Kame. Oh, yeah? All day.
Oh, I love it.
My gosh.
And then Wings of Sacred Dawn, they're like, hey, yo, so if you're flying with Wings of Sacred Dawn, you straight up about to just have all your solar weapons just like refill as you get kills. And I'm like, that's going to get real busted. Because like, hey, if you're aiming down sights, you about to just get tons of ammo, like filling your bag. And they're like, hey, try it with Xenophage. And as everybody knows, Panda loves cannons. So I might whip out the wings for a little bit. So I may tighten, but I might whip out some wings for a minute because that sounds fun. So I feel like like for the most part, everyone's kind of eating good when it comes to exotic changes. I'm worried about Hollow Fire Heart and Feedback Fence, but otherwise, everyone seems like that we eating good for the most part. I dig it. I really dig it.
Yeah,
dude. Wednesday Sacred Dawn is going to be AKA AC 130 coming from above. All right.
Now,
finally get some power fantasy on.
Now, let's have a conversation because people try to have this conversation with me in my stream earlier today, and I wasn't having it. So, we're going to have this conversation. So,
Bungie
for the second time now in the past 2 seasons is nerfing barricades.
Not again.
Because what they're doing is they're making it so tower barricades have a base cooldown from 48 seconds to 70 seconds, and your maximum health is 600 down from 600 to 500. But you have bonus damage resistance against PvE combatants to compensate. Now, PvP players, let's have a conversation. Bungie says specifically in this article, improves my point. We've been experimenting for a while with opt-in ways to play around barricades, including anti-barrier rounds via the artifact or exotic weapons, origin traits like Hake breach armaments that to do bonus damage to barricades, subclass buffs like grenades and things of that nature, or tuning the damage on special weapons to do more damage to barricades, and more. But because you idiots can't figure out that this is not Call of Duty, we're gonna have to nerf barricades again because you cannot figure out that this is not Call of Duty. Because I said it on my stream earlier today.
Goddamn RPG.
I had to sit here with my mic like just like this. I sat here with like 20 people in my TikTok live stream, and I was like, hey guys, listen to me. This is an RPG. Titans are the tank class. Hunters are the rogue class. And warlocks, they're like a mix of the cleric and the sorcerer class. So obviously things are gonna be different per character. We know you like the gunplay of this video game. That doesn't mean it's not still an RPG. That you are gonna have counters. And I've been saying ever since the buff to scout rifles and pulse rifles and auto rifles and SMGs that barricades didn't change. You just don't like that hand cannons aren't the only primary weapon that's meta. I've been saying this ever since that one trials weekend in Midtown, after pulses and all other primaries got buffed to where they can stand a chance against hand cannons, that you just don't like that people can lane. You just don't like that hand cannons are OP. You don't like it. You don't like it. That's the problem. And because barricades like disrupt gameplay and make it so it's just not run and gun like Call of Duty, you have a problem, and you're blaming the devs. I mean no offense by this, but I was listening to one of the PvP podcasts, and I can't remember which one it was. I can't remember who said it, but I listened to it for a whole hour. And one of them was on a whole rant about, like, because he's a hunter main, he's saying that barricades need to be nerfed into the ground, that barricades need to be all like where they don't do damage to you when you walk through them, that they're OP. And I'm like, bro, do you know how many tools you have at your disposal to deal with a barricade? You have grenades. You have different exotics that do bonus damage. Your special weapons do damage.
Oh, you have jump. You can
jump over it. Hell, I said this a few months ago, back when the Firing Range podcast happened, where they had Mercules and a different dev on. I forget what his name is, but somebody asked him, "Hey, do you have any other plans to nerf barricades?" And they're like, "Nah, not right now." Like, we don't.
They didn't want to spoil it because I guarantee you, if they would have said that earlier, it would have caused the Titan PvP community into an uproar. And like, look, I'm gonna say this. I'm mostly a hunter main, but I've been playing all 3 classes since my return from Lightfall. To be honest, I've had more time to play all 3 classes.
Right.
I saw this one coming a mile away, especially going into the Crucible as often as I have. I'm not a PvP main. I'm a PvE guy. All right. I saw this coming a mile away. I knew that something was going to be happening to Towering Barricade as often as I was seeing it. Now, I'll say this, and I'll give some fair warning. Don't be surprised if Warlocks might be next on the block, especially with healing rifts.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing.
the PvP community is always screaming about balance. We need better balance. We need a better meta. We need a better sandbox. Well, guess what? Nerfs and adjustments, this is part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And as a community, if it hurts, if it causes rage inducing to see them do something to your class, take a second, take a breath, and then ask you this next question. How much was I using that ability in everything that I was doing to the point of damn near meta abuse?
Well, and here's the thing. Here's what I'm gonna say about this, because I have two different points. Because I want to reply to what you said, and I want to finish the thought, because the one thing that the dev said when he was asked about that after he said no, not right now, is there's a problem in the community when it comes to class envy, where you don't understand that this is an RPG, that you have different abilities than the other class. The class has different abilities than you. So there's going to be things that disrupt gameplay. Same thing as hunters. Hunters are able to go invisible. In certain dodges, they're able to boost their outgoing damage. With stasis, they can slow. With their different dives, they can do different things like shatter dive and the invis dive. And now with the suspend dive, they have multiple different things in their kits to either escape or disengage from a fight or cause damage. Hell, with Wormhusk, they can heal. Warlocks have two different flavors of little buddies that can cause passive damage. And they have healing rifts and empowering rifts, and their one rift can freeze you on sight. Yep. Titans have a wall that protects them for a short amount of time that can be easily broken by multiple different things that you can make them disengage by throwing a grenade at it. One subclass gives them a little bit of overshield that, yes, you can still one-shot or almost kill regularly. And the other two light classes don't do anything with barricade. Stasis doesn't do anything with barricade unless you're wearing an exotic. And Strand can send out a suspend wave. Otherwise, it's just a shield. The one comparison that I make a lot is, look at Overwatch. If you compare Tracer as the Hunter, Reinhardt as the Titan, and like Lucio or Moira as the Warlock.
Yeah.
They just announced they're buffing Reinhardt's shield. You don't see a lot of different exchanges of their mechanics unless it's like extreme, because people know it's an RPG, and yet Overwatch is the one that's the esport. Think about that for 2 seconds. Overwatch is the one that's the esport, and yet they know more about RPG mechanics than Destiny players. It blows my mind. And then, but in terms of what you were saying about like if it's rage inducing because of that might be a problem. Quad King put a video out earlier today. For those who know, Quad King's a TikTok creator in the Destiny community, and he put out a video on his opinion about the nerf, and he was like, "I think this is good because it causes Titans to build into it more, and that it gives you more versatility to a certain extent." While I agree with him, I think the biggest problem is, like, the issue at hand is people just don't understand the fundamentals of what an RPG is. I think, yes, we need more build crafting in the game, and I do see this as beneficial to a certain extent, but I'm worried that we're still gonna see, like, hell, even in my stream today, people were saying barricades busted, get rid of it entirely. That one streamer's PvP podcast, they're saying nerf it even more, make it so it doesn't do damage anymore when you walk through it, even though they made it do more bonus damage when Beyond Light came out, because people were still just walking through barricades and shotgunning people. Bungie understands this is an RPG, but the PvP community doesn't. And it's frustrating. So I agree with Quad King a little bit, and I agree with you that a little bit of a nerf is more. I will say this: if there is another nerf beyond 500 health standard and this uptime, I'm going to be pissed, and I think I will be fair in saying that. Because at that point, it's the community just bitching for no reason because they don't understand RPG mechanics.
Yeah.
And Go ahead, Mom. I know you've been trying to
Oh
talk for
no,
a bit.
no, I was just agreeing. You've got a point to make.
So
So go ahead and make it.
this falls back to something that I posted on TikTok a while back, that a lot of the Destiny 2 community, I don't think really understands or comprehends Destiny 2 as a whole. They've been playing it for
Yeah.
so long, and I don't. I'm also the type of person, I don't want to say that I believe it's this community, but it's like too much of it makes sense. It maybe it's the ADHD seeing things and hyper focusing. Maybe it's autism. I don't know. But I'm gonna say that a lot of the PvP community does not understand that this is an MMORPG. Luke Smith said it when they broke away from freaking
Activision.
when they broke away from Activision. Why? Because now they had the full freedom to say, this is what we want to produce. This is what Destiny 2 is. It's an action MMO. And with that understanding, hello, hi, this is an RPG. There's going to be freaking every class is going to have strengths, weaknesses, pros, cons. And they're going to have their individual makeup and class identity. And if you don't understand that and don't understand how to counter that in a PvP format, then clearly, and I hate using the term, but you have to get better knowledge of the other class
Right.
in
I like
order
the way
to
you
be
phrased
better.
that. I like the way that you phrased that. You didn't just say get good. You said you have to get better knowledge. Because one thing that I've always said on the show is get good is not the answer. Because it's
It
become
is the most toxic fucking phrase. And I'm going to say that with my whole ass chest.
You're
This
right.
is coming from someone who's 42,
Yeah.
who has played so many games, who's played Call of Duty, who's played Halo, who's played MechWarrior. Yeah, MechWarrior 4. That's how old I am. Shut up. Anyways, freaking, I've played a lot of social games and PvP oriented games. And just the phrase of get good. At first it was a joke and a meme, but now it's become this toxic identity to where it's like, look, in a game that's based around abilities, exotics, gunplay, there is a whole lot to learn and understand. So for new players, yeah, you've got a bit of an uphill struggle having to learn all these various aspects. And Bungie is going to take action when they see something being overly used. And I'll be honest, I think we can all agree Barricade was significantly used quite a bit. So it's not shocking to see this freaking nerf. Now, I'm glad that they didn't go freaking full kilter and do other things that other person was suggesting. And to me, we've got a season to wait. When we get to 22, let's see what happens. Who knows? They could sit there and say, you know what? Maybe we went too far with the freaking cooldown timer. Here's a little adjustment. Maybe we went too far with the health, etc. Bungie, I mean, look at freaking, they just undid Renewal Grass nerf.
Right. Correct.
So, once they get the data, maybe they see, okay, we went too far.
Because truth be told, when Renewal Grass got nerfed, everyone dropped it like it was Andy dropping Woody. Like they straight up like the stark drop off of Renewal Grass, because everyone's like, hey, a new stasis tool, because like Shadow Dive got nerfed. Like they found a new way to make Stasis Hunter work. And truth be told, I'm not even really gonna go into the Striker Titan nerfs, because I'll be the one to say it. Striker Titan needed to be tuned down a little bit because of usage, not because it was OP, because of usage. Because Bungie knew what they were making with Arc Titan. They even said in the Arc 3.0 Vidoc, they said we wanted to make Arc Titan be the PvP subclass. They knew what they were doing by bringing Juggernaut back, by boosting Knockout. They knew what they were doing with that. But it was the community's usage of it that became a dominant problem. You had people that were Hunter mains and Warlock mains using it on streams and on TikTok. They say it's just too good not to use. That was the problem with it.
Exactly.
So I don't really have a problem with the Arc Titan nerfs, but in response to the Arc Titan nerfs, I'm gonna tell Bungie, start looking at the rest of the subclasses, because if you look at Trials Report right now, and I've been saying this for a hot minute. The Titan subclass breakdown, 22.7% this weekend for Arc, 10.8% for Void, 1.2% for Solar, 1.1% for Strain, and 0.6 for Stasis. The only reason Void is seeing usage is because of Bubble for Capture Zone and for a little bit of Overshield. And they're utilizing Void by using Peacekeepers, by using Antaeus Wards, Doom Marchers, Synthoceps, One-Eye Mask, things that are specifically neutral game exotics to augment the subclass. If you look at Void as a whole, the shoulder charge barely does any damage, the throwing shield barely does anything, grenades are just grenades. Everybody has grenades at this point, that doesn't matter. Sentinel shield barely does anything because no one gets a roaming super in Trials. Like, Void is just as broken as Solar, Strand, and Stasis are. The only reason anybody saw Stasis the past 2 seasons is because people finally figured out that with enough ice, what was it? The one fragment, Whisper of Rhyme could give you a lot of overshield. Before that, no one touched Stasis Titan ever since the nerfs. No one's touching Strand Titan because Strand Hunter is just better. And Solar Titan's been beat up and mutilated into the ground, so it's not worth using. So once Arc Titan gets nerfed here in a minute, other than Bubble for Capture Zone, you're gonna see a stark fall off of people using Titan except for Titan mains because the rest of the subclasses are broken and not usable, other than using them with neutral game exotics. Because if you look at Hunters and you look at Warlocks, they can all function with their different subclasses fundamentally without neutral game exotics. Titans can't do that. And that's the problem, and no one wants to sit down and admit that.
And since we're talking about neutral game exotics, I'm gonna say 100%. I agree with Grenader Jake when he made this statement recently on his stream and he posted it as a TikTok. They need to adjust Antaeus Ward big time.
I'm glad you just said that. I have a question for you. Go ahead. Has Antaeus Wards seen any nerfs or buffs since it was nerfed when it first came out? No.
As far as to my knowledge, no.
The reason is because when it first got nerfed, because it had a giant shield when it first came out. It could block. It had crazy damage reduction. You could walk around and just be a tank with that. The minute it got nerfed, everybody fell off of it. No one wanted to touch it. It has not changed whatsoever since it got nerfed. But because people needed a way to counter the fusion rifle meta and the immortal meta, people took another look at it, and they're like, and now they're saying nerf it. Same thing happened with Lord of Wolves last year, where Lord of Wolves had been nerfed 3 consecutive times and just sat in people's vaults. But because people combined it with Omnioculus, everyone's like, nerf Lord of Wolves, even though Lord of Wolves wasn't really doing anything, and now Lord of Wolves isn't even used in PvP anymore because it's been nerfed into the ground. Like, the problem isn't that Antaeus is busted. Antaeus is fine. Jake and everyone else and Matt Goes Buck are tripping. Antaeus is fine. It's the problem that everybody is overusing it because they needed to counter the other meta, which was Immortals and Fusion Rifles. Antaeus is fine. I will die on that hill that if Antaeus gets nerfed, you're never going to see Antaeus used ever again because there's nothing else that could be done with it. Antaeus is doing its job.
So to counter this, recently we saw Hunters receive a Stompies nerf, right? Okay, and it's because of the way that the perk was set up.
Yeah.
It wasn't overpowered as a whole, but because of what it was able to do, Bungie said, okay, here's what's going to happen. When you go to use it, it's going to use your freaking...
Well, no, you have to have your dodge. You have to not have used your dodge to get the benefit.
Right. So like I said, I agree with Grenader Jake when he brought this up.
Okay.
Have Antaeus wards. If it reflects a projectile, reduce your cooldown on your freaking class ability depending upon how much it's reflected. If it's a full-on shot, like you took a full-on shot that would have freaking one-shot you, use it all. If it
My
was
counter
only
to that
like,
is Juggernaut already does that. Juggernaut already does that, where if you take too much damage, your class ability already goes fully away. Like that's the problem there. I think the issue is people are complaining about Antaeus because people are chaining it with Jug. If you want a really good nerf for it, make it so you can't use Jug and Antaeus together. I think that would be a fair compromise.
oh yeah.
Because Juggernaut already functions where if you take enough damage, your whole class ability is gone and you lose the overshield. So at the very least, I could get down with them changing it to where you if you try to combine Jug and Antaeus, it goes error, can't do that. That's fine. But and truth be told, I'll be the one to say it. And me and Dave have talked about it before. The Stompy's nerf where it does that class thing, that's a little much. I always said that was a little too much. I was fine with the in-air accuracy thing. I was fine. That made sense. Because I've said for a long time, the ability for hunters to be able to one-shot you mid-air with a slug shotgun at pinpoint range and have no penalty made no fundamental sense.
Yeah.
So in-air accuracy as a concept made sense to me, but you taking away their class ability was too much of a cost, like a risk-reward situation. You're the issue with Stompies in general is they're too easy. They're too accessible. They're a Red War exotic. Anybody can get them. Similar to Transversive Steps and Lion Rampants, they're used as a mobility and a jumping tool. So they're just easy to use. So people are just they're just like, screw it, use Stompies and not use anything else. Bungie needs to make other exotics more appealing, as Dava has said previously on the show, to give hunters a reason to not use Stompies. That's the issue there. But also inaccurate. Yeah,
I think that's where we're coming in with freaking Foe Tracer and Knucklehead Radar rework.
Yeah.
And the fact that Bungie is going through and looking at all these underused exotics and starting to bring them up, giving them reworks, or hey, let's buff this. I think we're coming to a point where eventually all subclasses, all classes are going to have all these exotics. You're going to have more of a pick and choose when it comes to both PvE and PvP, to where you're going to start seeing more and more of a shift in how often or how crutch this one exotic's going to be.
Ooh, that's a really good point.
Okay.
And when we get to that point, Bungie is really then going to start seeing more and more data to where they're going to be able to say, okay, this is showing heavy utilization. We need to make this small tweak instead of something like Stompies.
That's fair.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because
yeah,
I can see it. I can see it.
okay. I'm not gonna sit here and break down every single thing that they changed about Strand. I will say Warlock buff's good, Hunter buff's good. Suspension being nerfed, I'm sad, but it makes sense. That's where I'm gonna leave. That's where I'm gonna leave that. I think they're nerfing it too much. I think they should have went from 8 to 5 seconds without continuity and 6 seconds with continuity. But I feel like Bungie's missing the opportunity here because it is a skeleton key. They are correct. Suspension is remember as a skeleton key to everything, but I think that was the point. But the issue is, and I think they even mentioned it in the article, that it takes away from the potential of stasis. The Strand doesn't take away from stasis. You nerfing stasis into the ground in PvP, where it needed to be stay relevant in PvE, was the problem. You need to separate your sandboxes. That way, stasis could be powerful in PvE.
And that's what they've done recently. And that's the thing. Now that we've got both sandboxes and they can tune each one individually, this is going to make it a lot easier. So don't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we see at some point stasis get a buff across the board to be a lot more competitive. Honestly, and this is this is me as a player. Bungie, please, for the love of God, make it stop to where stasis interferes with stray and suspend.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
drives me up a wall.
Yeah.
Because there's so many times where I'll suspend something, and then like someone will use a stasis weapon or a stasis ability, and then the whole ogre comes down, and I'm like, oh well, I guess we're screwed.
Oh, that
like,
is a panic moment if I ever saw one.
Right, like the whole ogre comes down.
Especially when when it's on that cooldown for the freaking stun, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
coming over like, hi there, how you doing?
There needs to be like a detection of, hey, there's already a stun on this creature. Let's not have stasis be effective or something, or like them not like penetrate one another. Just let them both do their thing. Like it's weird. I definitely agree with that because that's been making me mad. Especially like it happened to us in the Moon Battleground this past week in the GM where someone used a stasis weapon and the whole ogre came down and I'm like, wait a minute, hold up, this is a problem. Like, so I definitely see that point, most definitely.
That we were lucky as hell that I had my glaive because I was like, shit.
Tower, how do you feel about the Warlock buffs? Because I feel like the Warlock buffs are definitely needed to a certain extent. Like for Strand.
For Strand, yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see how the new fragment is going to work, or the new aspect that's coming out is going to work. Because, I'm always one who is happy to, add to my army of babies. They are my children, and they destroy everything. So I'm always happy to add to my army of babies.
All right. Now for the final topic of the evening, real quick. The exotic mission rotator is coming finally after seasons upon seasons of them teasing it. And truth be told, I just thought they were going to drop these missions in once a week and give us a pinnacle. This article, what they dropped in the TWID, golf clap, bravo. This is great. This is great. I love it because truth be told, I was one of those people that was telling everybody and their mama, y'all better get these guns because once these guns are gone, y'all ain't getting them again. And then Bundy's like, joke's on you. We're going to give them to Zur and Banshee. And I'm like, about that. And then they're like, oh, well, fine. We'll just put them in the exotic mission rotator. And I'm like, that sounds a little bit better. Good job. Golf clap. Proud of you. Like,
so it's funny. It's funny you bring up Zur because I posted this on Twitter a while back. Because as someone who took 2 years away from Destiny 2, came back, missed out an entire year of weapon crafting, right? So I've got all these weapons, retrofit escapade, freaking path of least resistance, bump in the night, all these weapons that so many people saying, oh, these are clutch weapons, these are freaking great weapons to have.
Right.
And I don't because I wasn't around. It's like, how could Bungie help me as a player acquire these a lot better? Now, yeah, the Deep Side Harmonizer was great, especially when Zur but these are very limited. They're only 6.
Right.
So when some of these patterns require 5, that hurts. So to me, Bungie, hey, look at freaking knocking that down to 3. Because then
especially for the seasonal weapons,
within a season, I can acquire 2 patterns. But at the same go, I was like, hey, let's revamp Zur. If you're going to bring these weapons to Zur and even Banshee on a weekly, make it to where if one of those weapons is something you don't have the pattern for, you get 1 red border that week.
I can get behind
grab
that.
it, and at that point, it would make for new player and returning players something worthwhile,
right?
Something to keep more of an eye on.
Well, and one thing I've been saying for a while is, if we, especially with weapon crafting being a thing, if we rotate out of a whole expansion and like all these meta guns roll out, like Peace of Mind, Rebel of the Night, etc., drop them from 5 to 3. Make it time gated. Once it rotates out, it goes from 5 to 3. Is it kind of salty for the people who ran to 5? Yeah, but like, it's a red border. Who cares? Like, we can get it pretty easily. So like, especially for Presage, I'll be the one to say it. I'm gonna run Presage until I'm blue in the face because I miss running Presage. But at the same time, running Presage is gonna get real annoying here in a minute if we have to run if we have to run it to get if someone has to run it to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guns, 11 guns. That's 55 red borders, and you're not guaranteed one every time. Well, you're guaranteed one per week. So that's gonna get really taxing to run 55 Presages like over the course of a couple seasons. I can see that like needing to come down from like 5 to 3. I am really excited that DMT is getting craftable. That's gonna be great. Also, fucking Dead Messenger is getting craftable too, which I don't know what's gonna happen with that, but like Dead Messenger might be busted as hell if they introduce some crazy perks with that. Like if they can give it, like if you give like void destabilizing rounds or some shit, that could get real busted, and I'm excited about that. But you know, I'm just excited. I think this does open a lot of doors because we can get things like the corridors of time back. We can get like Whisper of the Worm back and Outbreak Perfected back, and they can use those. And they're going to stick to this model of bringing back old equipment. They can say, "Hey, y'all want to do Niobe Labs? Here's Black Armory weapons."
Please, for the love of God, bring back Niobe Labs.
Right, like that. There's your gateway right there. You want to do Niobe Labs? Here's your Black Armory weapons, 1 per week. I'd be like, man, let's go right now. Like, freaking Whisper of the Worm. You can bring back some weapons. You can that came out during Warmind, right? So like, I don't know what you would do with that, but you could use that as a vehicle for like taking weapons or something like that. Figure it out. Then like the Outbreak mission was during like Telling the Forsaken, I think. So like, do something with that. I don't know. Like you could bring back a lot of old shit. So like this has a lot of potential here. So I'm definitely really excited.
My big thing is finally being able to, with all the new knowledge that I have and the build crafting that I have, because I don't know if you know, Cajun, like I run. But before I met Panda and before I met my buddy Kaz, I was a solo player, and I like to run like the more like the exotic missions and stuff like that. Look, but I've always struggled because I've had a problem with build crafting. But meeting Panda and meeting others in the community who have taught me how to build craft, I want to finally be able to get my solo flawless Seraph shield. My solo flawless legend.
She almost got really close, but she did it on regular. She just couldn't do it on legend. So like, that's potential.
I could get all the way across the jumping puzzle portion.
Oh, freaking jumping puzzles! Oh my god!
And then the knight would kill me, or the boss would kill me, and it would be my single death in the whole mission. Is like that, that second to last encounter or the boss encounter. Everything. It just didn't matter anymore. There were times where I was so close to throwing my controller at my TV.
I won't lie, I feel that pain so much because there's so many freaking achievements or titles that have freaking like, hey, you've got to do a flawless raid. And I sit here and I look at stuff like Deep Stone Crypt, King's Fall, and I'm like, you expect me to get a flawless going through those freaking jumping puzzles?
See, Deep Stone is very attainable. King's Fall, that's a big gap. But like, Deep Stone is very attainable if you have a good team with you. Like I'm even looking for a group to do a Deep Stone flawless because that's one raid that I think is very attainable for a flawless clear. It just takes a lot of work and a lot of patience because if you take those jumps very carefully at times, I've done it without no deaths multiple times. It just takes a lot of patience and a lot of like staggering your jumps. So, but in terms of the like the missions here, this does open up a lot of doors. Even in the clan right now, we have people who are super excited to finally get the new presage because they weren't here for it. And this is going to be a place where not only do you see things like the Excalibur mission or this season's mission, which this season's mission is a little weird, where like it wasn't like a full-fledged exotic mission. It was like, hey yo, do a deep dive and then go down this corridor. But like there's still potential. So
Well,
yeah.
in regards to the whole deep dive exotic mission, I'm gonna say, to me, I felt like that was a disservice
Yeah.
on how they actually
Yeah.
put about it. But as far as like a future rotator, um, that's gonna be interesting to see, especially like post this year, because we're
Mhm.
gonna have that deep dive until the end of the year. Afterwards, it's gonna be interesting how they exactly bring that into the rotator.
It might just drop you off at the pyramid door. That's what I'm thinking they might do. Is just drop you off or make it like right when you first go through the door. They might drop you off at that second floor door, like right when you finish the second floor
And
deep dive.
to me, that would
Yeah.
actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also when it comes to this, I think instead of like there's gonna get like similar to what we're dealing with now with how big the raid and dungeon rotator is getting. That's a hot topic that I wanted to say in a second. I think especially if this gets to a point where you do have like Whisper, Outbreak, and then this year's missions in the rotator, they're gonna have to make it from a rotator to a like Legends tab type situation where you can pick and choose what you want, because this situation here is gonna be like you need 55 clears of presage like over the course of multiple seasons to get every guaranteed weapon from Season of the Haunted. If you like a returning player that never did it. Same
Yeah.
thing with a Seraph Shield. You need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like if you want all the Season of Seraph weapons and the Aikilos weapons craftable, you need 50 weeks of that. And it's like,
Yep.
that's kind of rough. So they're going to have to take it from a rotator to a selectable situation sooner or later, because A, that rotator is going to get thick, and B, it's going to be like unobtainable for a lot of people.
So this
Yeah,
also
I'm
got
gonna
brought up.
go
I know this recently got brought up too, because they Bungie announced that starting next season, Rudo Nightmares is going to be entering the rotator.
Yep.
So,
Mhm.
and someone brought up, it's like, well, all these raids are going to be entering this rotator. It's going to get too freaking long. Here's where I say the rotator is still a good thing, because it does bring a weekly focus and a flavor of the week aspect to
Right.
content within Destiny 2. But I think eventually Bungie's gonna have to make a point where it's like, okay, how can we make this rotator better? And then it's like, okay, let's go ahead and double up on the rotation.
Exactly.
And
Because
now
that's what they
where
did. Yeah, that's what they do with the Nightfall weapons for a minute, when we had like you had Swarm, Palindrome, Hung Jury, Shadow Price, a bunch of them all at once. They were like 2 per week, and I'm like, that's genius. Like give people like 2 raids, 2 dungeons. That will make things a lot more accessible to people who don't have a lot of time on their hands.
exactly.
Absolutely.
And overall, between the exotic mission rotator, the changes that they're doing, and the fact that they're bringing back older weapons and making it accessible to new and returning players, this is a big up for a lot of for the community as a whole. Um, and I'll be honest, the only people that I saw complain about this information right here was the people that they play this game full time. They play this like day in, day out, 8+ hours a day, and they're doing all the content the moment it comes out. And
What
it's
could you
like,
possibly complain about this? I don't see any negatives with this.
exactly.
Right.
And
It's the people that are always complaining.
Well,
That
what was the complaint, though? I want to understand what the complaint was.
oh, they're bringing back old content. They're bringing back old content.
Yeah, recycle.
Here's my counter to that.
You-
A, it should never been removed. It should never been removed from the game anyway. It should have never entered the DCV to begin with, and because we paid for that, it was included with Season of the Splicer and things of that nature. B, they're not repurposing it. They're giving people a new way to achieve it. They're making exotic weapons that were previously unattainable for some people, or in the case of DMT, has been locked behind Xur on random rolls for the past like 5 seasons, and it's been annoying as hell. They're like, hey, here's it back in Presage. Go get it. Like, bro, do you know how cool it would be to go back into Whisper of the Worm knowing that Whisper is craftable? I would be tripping. Like,
dude,
Outbreak Perfected craftable,
Let me ask
I
my
would be
son
tripping.
again.
Oh,
Like-
I'm going to tell you right now, if they ever made Whisper of the Worm craftable again, Whisper's back on the menu, boys. Because trust me when I say,
It's already straddling the line right now, where it's almost back to DPS levels. But like, if you make it craftable, it might put it to where it's in a healthy DPS state.
Dude, okay, I'm gonna say this, and I know I'm gonna get some people saying, "Oh my god, he needs to get good." I hate rocket launchers with an absolute freaking passion because sometimes it's not a matter.
Okay.
Sometimes it's not a matter of yourself. It's a matter of someone with
people.
freaking ADHD twitching at the freaking fingers and stepping right in front of you.
Thank you.
I can't tell you.
I feel for you, but see, I'm that motherfucker who runs Thunder Crash Titan for Nezarec and people and bosses like that. So I just jump. I like half the time while we're sitting there with Nezzy, you'll see me just like I'll reload with Clown Cartridge. And I'll be jumping because I don't trust nobody. I don't trust nobody with a 10-foot pole. I'm jumping in the air to get my shot because man, I understand that pain, but like I like rockets. I like them because the linear method was getting very stale. Like just pointing and shooting a linear, especially when the full auto setting came out, was getting really stale. So I like rockets. I think my fear with like eliminating rockets is going to be them nerfing them. I think we need to enter an era where you have multiple avenues of DPS. Like we're in a really healthy place right now where linears have sort of creeped back up to be possibly DPS, but also rockets are the main thing everyone chooses. So, but also bait and switch stuff has been kind of like being a thing too. So I think buffing Whisper to be similar to like on a caliber with Izanagi would be very beneficial for a lot of people, and making it craftable could do that. That's my theory.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that. Honestly, I totally agree with you on the fact that we really need more avenues of DPS. Like, I would love to be able to go into a raid and see every single person running a high DPS weapon. One person running Piv, one person running Galley, one person running like a legendary rocket, one person running like 1K, one person running Casino. That would be
I'm
amazing.
just gonna say this.
And
I just want the opportunity to go back to using my freaking spike, full court freaking explosive light freaking grenade launcher again.
Here's the thing, Bungie. I'm still pissed about that because Bungie hinted with Plunder that they were gonna buff grenade launchers, or like it was either Plunder or with Lightfall. They were gonna it was Lightfall. They were gonna buff grenade launchers. At the same time, they reintroduced Wendigo into the Nightfall rotation. And at the same time, they put Wendigo with the Warden of Nothing GM. Ask me how many GMs I did, Cajun.
Dude, I'm gonna say this. I'm not gonna show my vault. I'm not gonna show my vault because I have a bunch of freaking Wendigo GLs sitting in there. I've got crafted GLs. Okay, I love my grenade launchers. Shut up. All right.
I love them too.
Bungie, make grenade launchers good again.
Right, no, I agree with you. I did 37, like the Warden of Nothing to get my perfect spike nades, fucking auto loading explosive light. Like this thing is perfect. Like I love this thing to death. So when Lightfall came out and it was like, oh, look, grenade launchers are kind of buff. They're not like meta, but they're kind of buff. I'm like, really? Like I want like I remember when they hinted at Breach and Clear coming back, but then it wasn't actually breaching clear. I made a whole TikTok where I was like, I'm freaking Ice Cube from Triple X3 coming back with a GL, like, I'm back, motherfucker, let's go. Because like breaching clear was the best season because like Anarchy was meta, fucking like every Wither Horde was meta, every GL was meta, like Breach and Clear was the bomb. I miss Breach and Clear, dog. Like that's how I got freaking what was it? The Vulture Glass Seal the first season it was out because all we did was put Anarchy everywhere and it was a good time. I miss Anarchy having the same amount of bullets it used to have. Make Anarchy meta again, damn it.
You know what freaking GL I wish and love to pray to dear God that they would freaking like really make good?
What's up?
Colony.
Make,
I
don't know about that one. I don't know about that one.
Okay.
Colony's
I'm sorry. Maybe this is the freaking cringe in me. Okay, maybe it's the freaking Man at Arms vid that I still to this day remember. I want to have some freaking robot spiders go freaking hunting for someone's ass.
I've been hit by Colony too many times in trials because it's a sleeper pick for trials. I'm really nervous about the idea of us entering a Colony meta if Colony gets buffed. But I get what you're. I just want I want Anarchy back, man. Because the worst thing was I spent the whole season before season of the Chosen, I grinded first encounter of Deepstone with a bunch of Australians for like 8 hours. I did 37 first encounters of no, it wasn't 30, it was like close to 40 of Deepstone first encounter to get enough spoils to go get Anarchy. And then the next season they're like, hey yo, grenade launchers are buffed. I'm like, let's fucking go. And the next season they're like, Anarchy's nerfed. I'm like, why? Like I worked so hard. And they're like, well, because you work too hard and it's unattainable for some people, so we're gonna nerf it. I'm like, how about make Spoils of Conquest more accessible? Nah.
Yeah. But I guarantee you some people are probably wondering, like, well, if he doesn't like rocket launchers, why does he like grenade launchers? Yeah, here's the thing. Most of the time I can shoot over someone's head and still hit my target.
True. Very true. Very true.
Yes, this is very true.
I can respect that. So like that was all the news this week, folks. Don't forget that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all those great places. Check out the merch store, shop.CosmodromeRadio.com. We still have the Pride shirts up. We're about once we know what the day one raid is, we are going to be doing a raid shirt, so that's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. We already have an artist picked out for it. They're already down for the project. It's going to be awesome. That's going to be like a great thing that we're going to be doing. We always have a final statement. Cajun, what do you want to leave the viewers with?
So, after the state of the game, this week brought some hope and some wins, not just for Bungie, but also for the Destiny 2 community. And I'm going to say this to the community: temper your emotions, temper your expectations, and let's go into next week, because we've got one more article coming out, and who knows, they may surprise us with yet another surprising news. We're going to have another TWID, and then on the 22nd, we're going to have the showcase. I personally myself am starting to put together a bingo card of, like, I've shared this with a couple of very rare few individuals that I trust, and even they're like, you can't expect that to be happening. But then the more they thought about that, they're like, if Bungie did this, it would be the biggest W for the community as a whole. So
that's very true.
I'm trying to temper my expectations, but I think we're going to see an expansion in Final Shape that is going to be not just a massive win for the community, but it's going to go back to the quality that we've known from Bungie in the past. So keep the faith, but at the end of the day, if you feel that it's not worth it, don't buy it. There are so many other franchises and so many other games out there that are worth putting your money into.
That's fair. Tara, what you want to leave on?
Oh gosh. Kind of along the lines of Cajun, temper your expectations, but also temper them with regards to the adjustments. We never know how things are going to act in game until they are in the live game. So some of these nerfs might actually end up being good things in the long run. Some of these buffs might actually not be all that great in the long run. Just wait until everything is adjusted, play around, see what happens. And, one last thing, welcome to our new commander.
Yeah. So, firstly, I'm so glad there's going to be an audio version of this show that doesn't include the alerts, because Watson and Cajun both just subbed, and like a good chunk of your audio was just missing. But so shout out to Watson and Cajun for getting me to 10 subs. But that was just like I'm over here like sitting here cringing, like oh my god, because because you can only see me on the live version, they can't see me in the Discord. But it was just like I'm over like oh crap, because I hear the alert audio going off in my ear. But no, so definitely check out the audio version of the show. That way you can hear the Tower's full statement. Because I don't know where to like even tell her where to cut out there. But but no, Watson, I'm just loving the fact that the past 2 weeks of me being back to streaming have been really fun, because not only have I done some great raids, some great GMs with my clan, and I think the big thing that I want to leave people with is Destiny is not dead. I don't care what anybody in their mama says. Destiny is not dead. Until light fully fades, we're not done. Like, we're gonna have a new chapter. We're gonna have a new story. The fact that Keith David's even coming on board tells me that Bungie isn't going to abandon us. They might slow down progression a little bit and leave us kind of stagnated for a little bit while they work on some other stuff, but they're not gonna leave us high and dry. We're gonna see content flow. Things are gonna be great, and I see potential for the future of Destiny. And I really feel like people need to not be so jumping to conclusions. Am I a little worried for the showcase? Yes, because I said it on the last episode that if Crota's the raid, I feel like people are going to be very upset. But at the same time, I feel as if the people who truly love this franchise are going to stick with it. The people who are burnt out, I understand your frustration, and you are valid for looking at other places for entertainment. But truth be told, I'm not putting down my shotgun until the fat lady sings, and I ain't heard no fat lady. So we gonna keep putting in work. If you are like I even saw it today in my live stream. If you are a player that you feel like you don't have a community, we have a community that will be there for you. Like, I know Cajun is someone that works his butt off to have people there for and do content with them. Like, there are good people in this community that will not abandon you. There's a lot of a toxicity in the community right now that is frustrating a lot of people, but I will not allow that if you come aboard this ship. You have a place here. You are free to game. It may be confusing at times because Bungie's onboarding is a struggle, but for some people, this game is a savior for them. It is for me. And I like someone came through my stream today and was like, "I ain't played Destiny in so long." And I'm like, man, I can't let it go. Like, this game was here for me when no one else was. And we're 9 episodes away from 50 episodes, and we're gonna keep going even when the final shape ends. So best believe the show's gonna be here. We're gonna be here putting in work, and we will catch you guys next time. So peace out.